You're listening to Civic Media. You can tune into any of our live shows on any radio station across the state with the Civic Media app. Find us in your phone's app store and listen anytime, anywhere.
Good morning. Welcome back to Matt and Air on Air. My name is Greg Bach, sitting in for Jane Matt and Air, who is currently on vacation, resting, relaxing. She'll be back before you know it, and she misses you desperately. We have a wonderful hour ahead of you, including sports with J.R. Radcliffe at 10:35, weather and wine at 10:22 with Brittany Merlot. But before we get into anything, Jim Santel is still here, host of Amicus, a law review. He stuck around to talk more about everything going on in the law world. And if you want to be part of the conversation, you can call or text. The number is the same, 855-752-4842, 855-75-CIVIC. Leave a comment on the live stream. We are currently on Facebook, YouTube, and the site we still call Twitter. Really quick here, baseball action happening as I can see today against the Philadelphia Phillies. Milwaukee's taking them on. This 2:35 is the broadcast start. You can listen to it on WRCE. You can in Richland Center, WISS in Oshkosh, WRJN in Racine, where we are right now, and WCQM in Park Falls, as well as WBZH, our newest Brewers affiliate in Hayward. So yeah, you have to listen to it on terrestrial radio. You cannot access the game through the app, but that's fine. Find yourself a radio if you're in the area, kick back, listen to some ball. Brewers are playing great. Still the best team in baseball, in my opinion, best record, all that good stuff. We're going to march our way to October and take that playoff spot we so rightfully deserve. But yes, broadcast starts at 2:35. Brewers versus the Philadelphia Phillies. Listen to the Brewers on I guess we're a Brewers radio network. Yeah, so cool. Now, we're talking to Jim Santel about all the things going on in the law world right now, and there was a big decision that came out of Los Angeles regarding, I'm going to say it, the occupation of the city via federal troops as ordered by the Trump administration. And a judge ruled that the National Guard in L.A. was not, he ruled against it. He said it was not lawful, it's not legal. He could not do it.
Absolutely. In terms that could not be more stark, and once again has to be sending shockwaves through the West Wing right now, although, again, the president has already reached out and said this particular judge, like all the others, is unfounded doing what he's doing. Let's give you his name once again. Mm-hmm. This is Charles Breyer, Breyer. So, Greg, you and I have been in Milwaukee with district court judges, Boston district court judges, and now we're out in California. And he has before him this challenge to whether or not the president can, in fact, send in federal troops to do law enforcement in Los Angeles, principally. And the judge says, no, he can't do this. And here's just a list of things that the judge tells the White House you can't do with these people. And ask yourself, is there anything missing from this list? You can't have your troops engaged anywhere in California, he says, to engage in, here's his list, arrests, apprehensions, searches, seizures, security patrols, traffic control, crowd control, riot control, evidence collection, interrogation, or acting as informants. Gosh, I think that pretty much exhausts everything when it comes to law enforcement. Again, to use the language we're using this morning, can't do it, Mr. President. And what does the judge do? He goes back to 1878. Calvin was just a teenager way back then, but we still remember the Posse Comitatus Act. Mm-hmm. Posse Comitatus Act says it's illegal. It is wrong. You can't do it to use federal troops for domestic policing. We've talked about this before. We got two different kinds of things going on here under normal circumstances. And so the law, again, 1878, still good, can't do this. And under these particular circumstances, the judge says you have violated the law. You have arguably violated the Constitution as well. And as a result of that, stop it. We also had a judge, again, you remember a couple of weeks ago we talked about it, named Frimpong, who also said, even with respect to some of the things that the government is doing, you have to apply the right standards. So even before we got to this, we had law enforcement, federal law enforcement engaging in arrests and apprehensions. Now this judge has said, can't do any of that because you haven't met the predicates of the Posse Comitatus Act. Can't do it. And I know, as you said, the next question is, okay, can't do it in California. what about other places, right, my friend?
Absolutely. And before we get to that, I want to quote something that the judge actually said that I thought it's sticking with me, because Governor Newsom actually put it in his statement, but Judge Breyer actually said that what he was doing was creating a national police force with the president as its chief. And this is something we have seen coming out of the White House since he got into office in January, which is, I'm the president, I can ... Whether it's I can direct the military, I can take over cities, I can take over agencies. Basically, I'm the president, I get to do whatever I want because checks and balances do not apply to this guy. And on the live stream, King Rat wrote, and I wanted to bring this up to you because he has pointed his finger at Chicago as next. And we talked about this story yesterday, and I said, well, when they run out of big cities like New York, L.A., Jim, imagine a world where Trump tries to send any troops into New York. I just don't think that will go well.
Right.
But when they start running out of the big cities, they'll start pointing their fingers at other, quote, liberal bastions of blue waves of people who don't like freedom in America. And Milwaukee is something that's been on, we've been talking about this now for about a week. And King Rat asked, he said, as an attorney, how do you feel about the National Guard maybe coming to Milwaukee? Can officers refuse illegal orders since the troops deployed to LA were deemed illegal? And I'll put on top of that yesterday it was released that the police chief, let me rephrase that. The president of the police union in Milwaukee was, quote, weighing whether or not to ask President Trump for help. So Milwaukee is definitely in the mix, even though Chicago seems to be the next target.
Right. And of course, this notion of invitations is something that our president is focusing a lot with Governor Pritzker, with the mayor of the city of Chicago, and asking, why don't you just invite me in, right? And again, that's not the standard, Mr. President.
No.
And again, it goes all of the observations, including those of your listeners, of course. We do fundamentally different things when we have civilian law enforcement and military operations. They're trained differently. They do different things. I spent most of my career working with domestic law enforcement. When I was in Iraq, we worked with military forces. And again, trying to establish safety and security. They have different functions. They do things differently. And that's the reason why we have not only these clashes, quite literally on the streets, that we now have sometimes in Washington, D.C., but also this fundamental difference in the way in which we go about keeping people safe and secure. If, in fact, Mr. President, you want to improve the quality of safety and security in law enforcement, you can do that. You can have the Congress, you can have allocate through various programs more law enforcement, but it's domestic law enforcement. It's not troops going in with tanks and doing the checkpoints and the kinds of things we're talking about. But it does raise the specter, not only of Chicago, 90 miles to our south as we get together here this morning, Greg, but also in Milwaukee, right here. And again, our mayor has said, no need to do this. We know what we're doing. We've got our situation under control. If our police chief invites the president in, that changes the dynamic, does it not? And so we need to be focused on that kind of outreach. But again, this is an overreach. In the context of things he does, just because I'm president, he's also once again issuing orders about how elections will be conducted.
Yes.
The president has no capacity to engage in election rules and regulations. That's a state matter once again. He just doesn't get this, or if he does it, he doesn't care. And that's the big takeaway on all this.
King Rat actually had a comment for what you just said, too. Invite me in sounds just like a vampire. I don't know if a description and comparison has been more apt, King. Thank you very much for commenting.
Right.
That was something we talked about yesterday with Sarah Gonski, who is the state director of policy, or policy director, for the Institute for Responsive Government, talking about the fact that we're now back in this conversation about voting machines and mail-in voting, when it felt like the Republicans had gotten pretty much on board with this. It definitely worked in their favor in 2024, but now all of a sudden it's terrible again. It's the worst again. It couldn't possibly be done. It is a damaging mark on democracy, Jim. Mail-in voting that's been happening for decades, and let's just get rid of it and see what happens, because that's the only way elections are solved or are handled, is through in-person, on-the-day voting. And if you can't vote, too bad.
Right. And again, it's proven wrong in so many ways that we've got no instances, I'll say it again, no instances that mail-in voting, that absentee voting corrupts somehow the system. No, it doesn't do that. And those of us, including you and other people, your listeners who are poll workers, know that the checks and balances are there. There's just nothing to see here. Beyond that, once again, we got that little James Madison problem, Mr. President, who said, the time, circumstances, the trappings of elections, those are left to what? Let's all say it together, the states,
yes,
right? Including the state of Wisconsin.
Yeah.
That's why we've got disputes internal to the state about how we do drop boxes and mail-in voting, all those kinds of things. The president, he is the one federal officer who has nothing to do. The Congress does, sure. They review not only electoral college votes, other things. They can pass laws. The president is the one person in our government who has nothing to do with this. And so the irony is dripping. The outrage is even greater here. And again, they'll go into court once again if he pursues these things and push back on it. We shouldn't have to do all of this, right? Aren't we just exhausted by all of this? And again, he is losing. I'm looking recently at his win-loss record. About 60%, about 2/3 of the things that are challenged find that, yes, indeed, you're doing this improperly, illegally, Mr. President. He's not winning in court.
No.
And maybe that's the point. Maybe he doesn't care about it. Maybe it's just pushback on all of this. But along the way, sending the mess from 2026, a little bit more than a year from now, that he's either setting it up to suggest that the voting is not proper. My own view is I think we're going to have an election in 2026. My concern, getting back to our first issue, Greg, is if there is so much oppression in places where, for example, like Houston or Chicago or Los Angeles, where there is voting and you've got people who are afraid to go to the polls because of the presence of national federal officers and federal police there, and you are suppressing the vote by virtue of what you are doing. You don't have to call off elections. You're simply preventing people from voting in the first place by scaring them and having them stay home. That's my concern about this president, and his recent meandering about a new executive order also supports that. Let me just send you the message that bad things are going to happen if you don't follow what I say.
And when it comes down to it, when people want to talk about this topic, remember all of those tactics are nothing more than voter intimidation and voter disenfranchisement, right. And that is against what we are guaranteed in our Constitution: the right to cast a ballot, unencumbered, unmolested, undone by anybody else. We shall raise our voices through the voting system, and he cannot stop us. He shouldn't be able to stop us because this. I'm going to listen to you, Jim. You are very knowledgeable. So if you think there's going to be an election in 2026, I hold a little bit of fear, but we will talk about that more as we go forward down the road through the weeks as we get closer and closer to elections. But for now, I want to thank you, Jim Santel, for being here because we love having you around. You are hosting for Maggie Dawn tonight from 4 to 6 p.m., and you can listen to that live on the Civic Media app. And then also tomorrow, Amicus, a law review from 9 to 11. Jim will be there as well. Jim, thank you so much. I will talk to you on Saturday, but still have a great weekend.
Yes. You also and all your listeners as well. Always a delight to be with you and Calvin. Thanks so much, Greg.
When we come back, it's time for Weather and Wine with Brittany Merlot. It's getting cooler. There's nothing we can do about it. So get out those sweaters, get that pumpkin spice, because Brittany's going to be talking about this weekend's forecast. Don't go far. Stay close. Stay tuned. You're listening to Matt and Air on Air on the Civic Media Radio Network.
You're listening to Civic Media. Stay up to date on the latest news and information for your local community and Wisconsin by signing up for our free email newsletter. Visit civicmedia.us/email to get started.
Good morning. Welcome back to Matt and Air on Air. My name is Greg Box, sitting in for Jane Matanair, who's currently vacating, but we'll be back before you know it, and she misses you. She just told me. If you want to get in touch with us, you can be part of the conversation. Call or text 855-752-4842, 855-75-CIVIC. Leave a comment on the live stream, or you can get in touch with us. You can leave a voice note on the Civic Media app. You can call and text there as well. So once again, get the Civic Media app. Tomorrow's Free Ticket Friday. You can participate that way. I'll talk more about that in a little while. But yeah, Civic Media app, you can call, text, voice note, say hi. Love to hear from you. Even if you don't like us, we've gotten those voice notes too. But Civic Media app, get in touch with us, be part of the conversation. We are currently live streaming on Facebook, YouTube, and the site we still call Twitter. She is an award-winning meteorologist and writer here at Civic Media. She is our good buddy, our good pal, here every Thursday with a little weather and wine. Miss Brittany Merlot. Brittany, how are you today?
I'm all right. A lot of whiners out there, of course.
A lot of weather and whiners.
Yep.
Ugh, oh God. Okay, so let me guess. A month ago, those same whiners were, it's too hot. Now those same whiners are like, it's cold.
It's too cold too soon. Yep,
oh my God.
Yep.
It's what happens every year. Have you never lived here before?
I know, right? It's just a little cold snap. We're going to still see some 80s in the future. Hang in there. It's not over
Oh,
yet.
really? Oh, I thought we were done with that. Okay.
Right. And the heat and humidity, the humidity is gone. That's the good part.
Oh,
So
yeah,
if we get
yeah.
80s, it's not going to be as sticky as in the middle of summer.
Yeah. Now you said the cold snap. There were flurries in Minnesota happening. If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, at least on radar. I'm still waiting to verify from people living up there
Yeah.
if it truly did happen. But radar showed that flip to the white stuff flying around way north in Minnesota, like the Arrowhead by Ely area.
Yeah. Okay. Well, and I mean, all right. I don't want to be shocked. It's September. You said it last week. It's sweater weather, pumpkin spice
Yeah.
weather, pumpkin spice and everything nice. But you also mentioned 80s possibly. Are we going to be seeing any of that, like that warmer weather coming through, or is it going to be stay cold and like yesterday, very, very wet? Are we going to be seeing that coming up in the next few days?
So first thing first for this
Yeah.
weekend, we have to battle the near record cold. We're going to be in the mid 40s far north to about 60 degrees south. Friday, it's going to be windy, winds whipping up to 30, 35 miles per hour. A gale warning on Lake Michigan. Waves are going to be climbing 10 to 13 feet high.
Oh my gosh.
This is going to be our start to the weekend. So battling the wind chill. Woo! But it will get better. We are feeling like mid-October, in case you were wondering. This is what it usually is for mid-October. We should be in the mid-70s pretty much all throughout the state for highs. So it's going to take a minute to return to that, but we will get there by next week. We are looking at 50s to about 60s statewide on Saturday, maybe some spotty sprinkles mixing in there as well. And then overnight, a chance for frost again, especially north. Sunday morning, that sneaks back in as temperatures fall back down to the mid-30s. And then Sunday, we're looking at upper 50s to mid-60s. Mostly sunny, so getting warmer. If you're headed to the Packers game, it looks like a good day. Winds finally calming down to beat those Lions. Yeah, rawr. Okay. Sorry. It's football weather, right?
Yeah.
So it just came in at the right time, and then it's going to leave. Because as soon as next week, I mean, we're already looking at mid-60s to near 70 on Monday. A little bit of rain cools us down on Tuesday. But Wednesday next week, mid-70s to about 80. We'll dip a little bit again, but let me tell you, if you're looking for days to take PTO, the following week, September 15th through the 19th,
Yeah.
80s.
80s.
All week.
Well, you got to make sure you get on your HR website and submit that time off because that sounds like a good time for a drive because I feel like, are you telling me that after that weather, after that week of 80s, are we just going to see a dip then? Because we're going to be marching towards October. And even though last night, I think when I opened the windows, it was like mid 50s. It's going to start dipping even further if I'm not mistaken. I'm not a meteorologist, my friends. I just look outside and be like, it's cold. But
Yeah.
I imagine that a week of 80s will be followed by a week and month of reality.
Yes, you are right on there, Greg. That is what's going to happen most likely. We'll still get some spikes of heat mixed in, but the trend will go down from there. And I'll tell you what, I went up north, like far north by Lake Superior, and it felt like the S word was possible. Snow. And I know, I don't want to say it, but
Do we have to,
And
Calvin, do we have
then-
to beep her if she says snow this early in the year? I don't know.
think-
I don't know what the FCC says.
I
think that's
will
acceptable.
bleep her just because I hate snow.
Okay, all right. Calvin has spoken.
Okay, how about this? I
Yeah.
did notice fall colors. I've seen
Yeah.
some red popping, those tamarack trees changing to that orange up north. Ooh, I'm so excited. And I was looking, it looks like the second week of October. Northeast Wisconsin hits peak. That's only
Okay.
a month away.
It is a month away. I still think we're in October. We're still in August.
I know.
I've still not gotten used to August, and I get it. Okay, you're right, October. And that's right. That's peak color changing time, and I'm sure we'll talk more and more about that as the weeks go on. And I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to a nice drive out in the country to see all those colors. But we'll discuss that more in the coming days because fall is here, whether you like it or not. And don't let the 80s fool you. We are in for cooler weather. Brittany Merlot, thank you so much for being here. As always, we love having you on Weather and Wine. And if you want to check out more from what Brittany's writing, go to civicmedia.us/news. You can find her award-winning journalism. Award-winning. And we love talking to you, Brittany, and we will see you next Thursday, my friend.
Sounds good. Stay warm.
Oh, indeed. All right. After the news, we are going to be returning with sports reporter from the Journal Sentinel, Mr. J.R. Radcliffe, our sports guru, to talk about everything Brewers, Packers, and Wisconsin Badgers. Go get yourself a snack, get yourself hydrated. Come on back. Stay close. Stay tuned. You are listening to Matt and Air on the Civic Media Radio Network. Good morning. Welcome back to Matt and Air on Air. My name is Greg Bach, sitting in for Jane Matnair, who is currently vacating deservedly, and she misses you, and she'll be back before you know it. I'm pretty sure, Calvin, when we signed off before the news break, I called the show Matt and Air. I just called it Matt and Air. Didn't even say Matt and Air on Air. I was too lazy to say the whole thing, but I just want to apologize to our listeners and to Jane because I understand branding, Calvin.
Yeah, she's like the new Cher. She just goes by Matt and Air now.
I like that. Oh, I could see T-shirts with that bedazzle, just Matt and Air. Well, you're here at the show. If you want to be part of the conversation, you can call or text. The number is the same, 855-752-4842, 855-75-CIVIC. Leave a comment on the live stream. We are currently on Facebook, YouTube, and the site we still call Twitter. Lots of great shows, lots of great things happening after us. At 11 o'clock is the Tom Hartman Show, and then following that will be Todd Alba from 2 to 4. Maggie Dawn, who is being guest hosted by Jim Santel, who was just on, and then Nightlight with Pete Schwaba from 6 to 8. Then great programming after that, too. I mean, just great. Go to civicmedia.us/shows for more information on everything we have on a daily basis. Download shows, have yourselves a ball, dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria. Speaking of one of my favorite cats in the world, it's J.R. Radcliffe, reporter, sports writer for the Journal Sentinel in Milwaukee. JR, how are you doing today? You're looking all cool with your microphone set up.
Yeah, well, it's not my normal setup. It's actually not, I suppose, as nice as the usual one. But speaking of cats and dogs, I assume you saw that it was Bark at the Park night at American Family Field last night.
Oh, it was last
the Phillies
night?
were represented as cats. Yes. The Phillies were represented as cats on the scoreboard. Instead of pictures of the players, it was a picture of a giant cat. Various different cats. It was excellent. It was really well done.
I thought for some reason it was next Wednesday, and I totally blanked, which is fine because I was struggling with the idea of going. I have a puppers. Her name is Maybelle. I love her. I love baseball. The only problem with Maybelle is that sometimes she's just super cool. Like sometimes when there's so much happening, she just shuts down and like looks forward ahead, and so it's just like I'm gonna walk ahead. I'm not gonna focus on anything, but I feel like it would have been, we were there for half an inning, then we went home.
Yeah, it's like having a child, bringing a child to a game. And it's like, maybe we make it to the third and then they get a little older. Maybe we make it to the fourth, then they get a little older. Well, they're going to be on the playground. So I probably will see an inning, but we might make it to the sixth or seventh. We might see the sausage race, and then they get older and they're old enough to actually go to the whole thing. It's kind of nice. I don't know if the dog will ever get there, but she might.
It could happen. But you heard it here, folks. J.R. Radcliffe said that having a dog is exactly like having children. I'm a parent. I get to have new opinions on things. Speaking of the Brewers, though, since the last time we talked, it's gotten a little tighter. Not a lot. I mean, the Brewers are still ahead by 6 games. That's a huge lead over the Cubs. They still have they were the first team to hit 70, the first team to hit 80. They're marching towards 90 wins. And it's about, as a Brewers fan, I'm sure you feel this and a lot of people feel this, keeping a level head, moving forward. 6 games ahead is still wonderful. We beat the Toronto Blue Jays, who are in a tough division as well. So really, we're doing good, and we have 1 month of baseball left. Let's keep our eyes on the prize. What do you say? What are your thoughts on this, JR?
Yeah, well, a couple things. So on September 1st, they had a 5.5 game lead, and I looked at all the teams since the current divisional format came into existence, the 6th division format in 1994. How many teams had a 5 game lead at that point in the season on that calendar date? and didn't end up winning the division. And I found two out of 100 possible teams with a 5-game lead or more who actually ended up losing the division. And one of them, the last one back in 2006, was the Detroit Tigers. And they were already clinched. They ended up as a wild card team and they went to the World Series. So it's really, really unlikely. There are a lot of teams that had a much bigger lead than 5 games. So it's kind of a little bit of an unfair sample. But the bottom line is it's really hard for the Brewers to lose what they have right now. And that was on September 1st, because today it's a 6-game lead after a Wednesday night game that I would say really good for the vibes. You know,
Yeah.
at least from my perspective, I think the team is totally they're much more level-headed, of course, than fans. But you beat the Phillies you get a tiebreaker over a team that they could be competing with for seeding purposes for the number 1 seed in the National League. They already have a pretty hefty lead, and it's bigger now, and they have the tiebreaker. That's not nothing. That's a huge get. They already have it over the Dodgers, whom they swept this year in 6 games. That's another team that's kind of in that mix as well as division champions. And the Brewers win, the Cubs lose, the Dodgers lose. It felt like a really important night on Wednesday to really just kind of settle things down. It's not that they've been playing terribly. It's been a little sloppy. Looks like they needed a break. They got that break on Tuesday, and now maybe that was in fact the reset that they needed. Because it's hard to feel doom when you're up 6 games. Like that's just a huge number.
Yeah.
As we wake up on September 4th. So that was it was a really nice win. And yes, they are in great position. They're probably going to be the number 1 seed in the National League. That is not a given. And the division is not yet a given, but it is looking they're certainly going to the playoffs, and it is increasingly likely that they will in fact be the top team in the postseason. And that's going to be a great, enviable position to be in.
And for me, it's all about being able to secure a playoff spot where we don't have to go to the wild card again. Because that for me, and it looks like where we're going right now, that seems like where we're headed, of course. There's no guarantees. We still have, I think, 21 games left to play this month. But it's just so frustrating as a Brewers fan to see them, we're in the postseason for a day and then we're out. So it's, like I said, you keep me level-headed. I look at the scores every day. I look at the standings every day. And when 6, I was like, okay, good. 6 is better than 5. It's not as good as 9, but still they're doing great. So we're gonna move on from the Brewers, because if I keep talking about them, I'll start to, for some reason, get angry. I don't know why. But if you're just joining us on Matt and Air on Air, we're talking to J.R. Radcliffe. He is our sports guru, sports writer for the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel. And the Packers are opening up against the Detroit Tigers this weekend. That is going to be a game. I mean, the Tigers, even 3-4 years ago, we've been like, who cares? But the Tigers have been on fire for the past 2 seasons, and this is going to be a good matchup.
Yes, you mean the Detroit Lions. The
Lions.
Detroit Tigers
Why do
competing with the Brewers.
I'm going to get a text message from someone I work with saying, again, that's not that I mess up Detroit all the time because I'm always thinking about baseball. So I'm sorry, the Detroit Lions.
And large felines. You were just talking about cats. Large felines. Look, I get it. I get it.
Fun fact, I'm allergic to cats, so I can't even talk about them. All right, so yeah, the Detroit Lions against the Green Bay Bucks. Go for it.
Yeah, perfect. The Tigers, the Brewers have a winning record against every division leader. You mentioned Toronto. The Tigers are another one in the AL Central. They have a winning record against all 5 of the other division leaders. So that's why you're thinking Tigers, clearly.
Thank
Lions,
you.
Like you
Good
said,
save.
The Lions, like you said, have been really extraordinary. Now, they are in a unique position and probably will learn more about their team, than the Packers will learn about theirs in the opener Sunday afternoon, because they lost their 2 coordinators, many other coaches. Ben Johnson was kind of seen as this offensive genius. He's now the head coach of the Chicago Bears. Aaron Glenn, the defensive coordinator, he left for the New York Jets. He's a head coach too. So they've lost a lot of their brain power, and they've lost a lot of their players, including on the offensive line. That's the big one, where they maybe just don't have the past couple of years, they've been the gold standard of offensive lines. It remains to be seen if they can do that again this year. So there's a chance here that the Lions do take a step back, and that's kind of unfair because they haven't had a dynasty to revel in. They've had 2 really good years. They haven't been to a Super Bowl. They had a real disappointing playoff exit last year. But they are still going to be seen as one of the top teams in the NFC, as is like every team in this division could be that. Like there's really no way to know which of these 4 teams is truly the best in the NFC North. They're all capable of making the playoffs. They're all capable of having extremely good years. there's questions, Vikings, JJ McCarthy get quarterback. That's a first-year starter. We'll see how that goes. The Bears haven't shown it yet, but they do have that new head coach and probably were taking some steps forward last year. And then the Packers have a lot of the same guys back, but Jordan Love is coming off kind of a whatever year. I mean, there was an injury involved, but he wasn't the star that I think we kind of saw coming from 2 years ago, where he really did have a great season. They do now have Micah Parsons, of course. That's a huge boost to the defense. Don't know how much he's going to be involved. Simply, there's some injury chatter, but it's more like he's only been here a week. Can you really implement him into a preset game plan? Like you obviously can to some degree, but I would imagine you're not going to see him make the impact that he'll make weeks from now. So a lot to learn. I mean, the Packers, obviously, it stinks to have a game this meaningful this early.
Yeah.
You'd like to maybe build up to playing the Detroit Lions, but that's what they're left with. And fortunately for them, it gets to be at Lambeau Field.
Calvin, what are your thoughts on this coming weekend's game?
Well, it should be a good matchup. JR mentioned that all 4 teams in the North are potential playoff teams. I will say, I think the Packers and the Lions is the premier matchup. If I was going to make a prediction, I would predict the Vikings and the Bears don't make the playoffs. That's my hot take. But yeah, I'm interested. I wonder if Micah Parsons will play at all. I'm kind of leaning towards not, because it didn't even look like he was really practicing with Dallas that much before he got traded. So I'm not even sure what kind of shape he's in.
He wasn't practicing because he was essentially holding out. He wanted that new contract, so he was there, but he was sort of half participating, I guess you could say. With the Packers, he has practiced, but you are right that there is a bit of buildup involved, right? Like when you can't just go in cold into an NFL season. So I think we'll see him. I feel pretty strongly that we'll see him. I don't know if we'll see him for the whole game or as involved as you might want him to be. There's so many comparisons to the Reggie White acquisition back in 1993, and I think people will probably forget that the first couple games of Reggie White, it was just okay. It was like, oh man, maybe this isn't going to work out, and then he became a superstar, the superstar that he had been. So, I think it's just you just want to urge a little bit of caution, but also this is a really meaningful game. Like you can't afford to be at half strength. Like this is a really, really important game, and the Packers are going to have to come out swinging.
All right, in about 60 seconds or so, give us their thoughts on the Badgers. What's going on with them? 60 seconds, do it.
Third year in a row, they lost their starting quarterback. 3 quarterbacks, 3 injuries. He'll probably be back at some point. Billy Edwards will, but it's backup Danny O'Neal. It's Middle Tennessee. They should win. They'll probably win anyway. This Middle Tennessee team doesn't seem like it's very good. It's probably the weakest. It is the weakest opponent on their schedule. So should be okay, but the question is quarterback health, and the defense looked great in week 1. We'll see about the offense. There probably needs to be a little bit more if this team is going to hang with the big boys, starting with Alabama next week. That is going to be a showdown.
Do you think this is the season where they start to get back to their Wisconsin Badgers roots of just being unstoppable, or at least very much intimidating and being a powerhouse in the conversation? Okay. You heard it here first from J.R. Radcliffe.
They want to, like they're prepared. They want to take that step. Their schedule is so hard.
Yeah.
It's going to only take a couple wins, honestly, for you to say, oh, they're better than they were last year. That's a big step for them.
All right. Well, we're gonna keep looking at this. Badgers are. I'm looking forward to the Badger season just because I don't know. I've been watching college football, which is very odd for me. But we'll talk more about that in the weeks ahead. J.R. Radcliffe is our sports guru, writer for the Journal Sentinel. Thank you so much, J.R. We'll see you in a couple weeks.
Sounds good. We'll talk to you then.
All right, stay close. Don't go anywhere, because when we get back, it's This Shouldn't Be a Thing, Shell of a Guy edition. You are listening to Matt and Air on air on the Civic Media Radio Network. Get yourself some water. Stay hydrated. Stay awesome. Stay tuned and stay close.
You're listening to Civic Media. Find the latest news, information, and archives of all your favorite shows on the Civic Media website, civicmedia.us.
Good morning. Welcome back to Matt and Air on Air. My name is Greg Bach, sitting in for Jane Mattinair, who is currently relaxing deservedly, and she misses you, and she'll be back before you know it. If you want to get in touch with us, you can give us a call, give us a text, same number, 855-752-4842, 855-75-CIVIC. Leave a comment on the live stream. We are on Facebook, YouTube, and the site we still call Twitter. As I mentioned before, Tomorrow is Free Ticket Friday, so you want to get that Civic Media app in your life on your device. If you don't have it, go to your app store of choice, download it, and it's absolutely free. That way, you can participate in the Free Ticket Friday contest tomorrow. You're going to have 5 chances over 5 different shows. We'll give you a keyword. You text that keyword in through the app, only the app. Can't text it in regularly, can't call it, can't email it, can't even just say, yell it into the wind. You have to text us through the free Civic Media app to participate. Then you are in the running for a 4-pack of club-level tickets to see the Brewers take on, I believe it's the Philadelphia Phillies, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. It's going to be a really fun game. They're going to be playing... No, sorry, totally wrong. Casper is going to text me again. He's very upset that I called them the Detroit Tigers when I meant the Detroit Lions. It's going to be against St. Louis on September the 13th. They're playing the Phillies today. And you can actually listen to that on Civic Media Radio. I'll talk more about that in a moment. But you're going to enter in to win a 4-pack of tickets to see the Brewers play the St. Louis Cardinals on September the 13th. You can only do that by getting the Civic Media app on your phone. It's very simple, very, very easy. And it also will enable you to contact us. And you can also participate in upcoming text to win contest, which one is on its way down the road in a few weeks. We'll have more information for you. But again, get that Civic Media app in your life. As I also just mentioned, we do have Brewers baseball today. Broadcast starts at 2:35. You can listen to it on WRCE in Richland Center, WISS in Oshkosh. You can also listen to it in Racine on WRJN. It's WCQM in Park Falls, and our newest Brewers affiliate, WBZH in Hayward. What's up, Hayward? Loved talking to you. Loved hanging out with you this summer. So, yeah, listen to Brewers only on terrestrial radio. Can't listen to it on the app, but we are your Brewers network. Now, Calvin, it is 10:55. I have been talking a lot. It is time for This Shouldn't Be a Thing. You know what to do. If you have a thing that should not be, send it in to Jane, Calvin, and me. Sorry, Calvin, I didn't sing today, but it is at Jane Says at civicmedia.us, JANESAYS at civicmedia.us. Let us know your thoughts on a This Shouldn't Be a Thing topic or a story topic or a guest. We'd love to hear from you, but that's Jane Says at civicmedia.us. This article comes by way of the AP. Again, very fancy with our sources. Calvin found this, and it is written by Charlotte Graham McClay. Ned is a perfectly good snail, but a rare shell means a doomed love life. This is out of Wellington, New Zealand. Ned is a perfectly nice snail, everybody. If he had a dating profile, it might read good listener, stable home, likes broccoli, and seeks love. But he's already exhausted his local options, apparently, and he's not picky. He's not someone who's just like, I can't find someone to love. Snails don't talk. He's a common garden variety snail. He's a good dude. We like him a lot. Unfortunately, his shell coils to the left, not the right, making him 1 out of 40,000 snails whose organs for reproduction do not line up with those in the rest of their species. Unless another lefty snail is found, the young gastropod faces a lifetime of unintentional cells. This makes me sad. This shouldn't be a thing, Calvin. This is bad evolution. No good to you. Don't get at me about evolution. I'm just making a joke. Calvin, this one actually makes me sad for him. He's a snail. I don't know him. I've never met him, but I'm sure he's from New Zealand. He's probably very funny.
Yeah, he's a real shell guy.
Oh my God.
Well, it's the name of the edition.
Yes, shell of a guy edition. Shell of a guy. Ned is a shell of a guy.
But yeah, it's really unfortunate. The article goes on and explains that snails are hermaphrodites. They do not, and they produce both sperm and eggs. So he doesn't even. There's no sex barrier. Any left-handed snail will do for Ned.
Oh my God. There is. I don't even feel like you can say that again on the radio. It's FCC compliant. I know it is, but my Catholic upbringing and my personal blushing that's happening right now, it's like my face is so red. So it's not even about the reproduction or the circle of life, as Phil Collins once said, or Elton John. I can't remember. It was someone who's British. This is just about finding love, isn't it? It's about finding that special someone you can share a shell with.
Yeah, apparently, the person who found Ned is a writer of a book called The observologist. Kind of a
That just
clunky
feels
name
like a made-up
in
word.
my opinion. But yeah, and with New Zealand Geographic, they've launched a campaign to find love for Ned. Apparently, left coiling snails looking for love is not a new phenomenon.
Okay. All right. So what you're telling me, Calvin, is that Ned has hope.
Yes.
Ned has hope. All right. So what shouldn't be a thing? The continuous search for love for Ned. What we're happy about is that there is a chance. There's a chance for him to share his life, to move into someone else's shell, maybe just, have 2.3 snails together in their own home, which their home would be their shells. But yeah. All right. Well, we keep our hopes high for Ned, and we want an update when we can find it. And that brings us to the end of another This Shouldn't Be a Thing. As always, I want to thank Calvin. I want to thank traffic. I want to thank engineers. You all make everything work. We can't do it without you, without the listeners, also the commentators, all of our friends watching us on the live stream. We thank you for your time. Without you, there is no us. We got great programming coming up after the news. We got Tom Hartman followed by Todd Alba. Then we got Jim Santel sitting in for Maggie Dawn. And then Nightlight with Pete Schwaba from 6 to 8 p.m. But you're going to keep it locked here on Civic Media. You are listening to Matt and Aaron on Air. Have a wonderful Thursday. Take care. Stay awesome. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
The national news cycle never stops, but it can be hard to find news about your local community. Civic Media is dedicated to providing quality local and state news coverage across Wisconsin. With the Civic Media app, you can get notifications about local stories that matter to you and your community. Find the free Civic Media app in your phone's app store and choose notifications from the menu to tell us what kind of news you want to hear about.